Hey, everybody, welcome to the Cosmic Panel, and today we're here to answer the age old question: should you read Absolute Power?
Is it ages old?
Dude, it's an age old question. Everyone's been wondering this for centuries now. Should they read Absolute Power?
But remember to like, subscribe, support your local comic shop, and read comics. Anyway, let's get right into it. Elias, what did you think of the event overall?
Overall, I would say it was a super fun time, beautiful art, beautiful execution from the standpoint of this being like a large and long time build up. You know, like Lucas has said before on the channel, this is not something that felt out of nowhere. This felt like a very natural progression for these characters and for the DC universe. And so I really enjoyed it in that way. My only complaint that I will get into in more detail shortly is just that you missed out a lot. You missed out on a lot if you didn't read the tie in issues and the surrounding material.
Yeah, I say this as someone who did read all the tie-ins. Elias read a good chunk, but not all of them. Um, yeah, you're definitely missing a lot, like especially with like the Green Lantern stuff, like the Jade Stone stuff, like that whole like mini arc starts in Task Force 7 and ends in Green Lantern. Like it is like it goes Task Force 7, Absolute Power, and then Green Lantern, and you would miss that complete arc, which I think is really interesting. Um, but I really like this event. I think it was a good event. Especially in comparison to like previous events like Dark Crisis and stuff, it felt a lot more like, okay, we planned this out. Dark Crisis felt like a slapdash, like, oh no, wait, we need our yearly event. What do we do? And Night Terrors felt like just goofy at times in comparison. So this felt like a more strategic, more well put together. Like they actually went to the drawing board and was like, okay, what can we do for each of these characters? Where are you in your run as a writer? Like asking each individual writer and being like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. It felt like there was an actual writers' room with all the creators involved in the event. Even the quote unquote worst issues were okay. Like they weren't bad, which is for DC specifically, especially with events, that is surprising because man, when their event tie-ins are bad, they're awful usually. Like man, Angel
Yeah,
Killer or whatever it was, Angel Breaker from Night Terrors
yeah.
made me want to like pull out my eyeballs. There was plenty of other like tie-ins from previous events that have just made me go like and basically almost fall asleep in real time. This felt a lot
Yeah.
more natural, and it was great. I really liked it.
Yeah, I think in general the bar for comic book events are pretty low. Is
Yeah,
pretty low. DC, I would unfortunately say especially so.
yeah,
When I
no,
look
I
at
agree.
Night Terrors, where it interrupted like uh, two issues in Green Lantern, that felt so much more like
Yeah, that was awful.
just rude to the creators. And then you look at this and you're like, yeah, it doesn't interrupt the progression of the characters. It continues
Bolsters it.
very smoothly what they're doing, and they don't act out of character. Now, one of the tie-ins I did read was Wonder Woman, and I will say I didn't like those very much
Yeah,
at
same.
all. I think that was maybe the weakest of the tie-ins, the Wonder Woman issues,
Agreed. I I
especially
was
that last one.
I was gonna say though, someone pointed out something that I thought was very interesting. So my biggest problem was basically how much Diana and Steve were on each other. That was basically my biggest problem. But then I remembered what someone reminded me. She had just been tortured for like 3 or 2 months with like hallucinations of him, and that made me go, "Oh, I completely forgot about." Like I genuinely had forgotten about that. So for me, it was like, okay, that makes it a little bit more forgivable in that regard, at least for me now when I was like, because without the context, like I completely forgot about the previous issue because we were so in this event. Like that's the thing, you get sucked up in the moment. Um, but yeah, Diana has been going through like I completely forgot like her and Steve like Steve has been like separated from her for months, got tortured by the Sovereign also, and then the Sovereign has been torturing Wonder Woman for months on end. So pretty wild.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think maybe just execution and
It was
making
too comedic.
Damien.
That's really the thing for me.
Yeah, it's very comedic,
Yeah.
definitely.
Um.
Damien, just felt a little silly in that issue as well. But there were still stuff accomplished in those tie-ins,
Oh yeah.
um, and so obviously that last issue is integral to knowing that the heroes have been broken out. Otherwise, if you hop into Absolute Power number 4, you're just missing that completely. So
You're missing
it's
that. You're missing the mother box. How Batman got the mother box in the first place. Which Darkseid appears in the Batman tie-in, like briefly. He doesn't really do much, but he appears and then he smiles, and so it's like, oh well, okay. Um, by the way, we are doing this without reading the All-In special. I will also point that out. We have we have decided to not read that just so that we can base this event on the actual event issues and the
yeah.
tie-ins based on the event.
It
Um,
wasn't direct enough where we didn't get a resolution to Absolute Power where I was like,
exactly.
all in specials a necessary immediate read. I was like, okay, they finish this off and then they're teasing it and then they want you to go
I
read
kind
all
of
in
appreciate
special.
that,
I
honestly.
definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, because like the fact is that like they're not like, oh, find out the conclusion and all it, like they could have easily. I was worried. I was like, oh man, how are they going to introduce Darkseid? Okay, like I really thought they were going to introduce Darkseid in the last issue and I was going to feel ham-fisted, and they didn't. And the restraint on that was great. It was actually really great. Um,
Yeah.
I will say, I think this should have been 5 issues. I think this should have been 5 issues. I think 4 issues was a tad too short. Just because I wanted some more room in the final battle and for the resolution. Like I would have maybe liked the final battle to be issue 4, and then like the actual resolution of them dealing with like like showing everyone that like, oh, superheroes are still good and stuff like that. Give us more of the actual world's reaction, because we just heard Airwave be like, oh yeah, I broadcasted that to the world, and it's like that necessarily doesn't solve everything. Like they saw videos and audio of you guys doing stuff, and now suddenly an audio of you or video of you guys doing stuff doesn't really disprove that. You know what I mean?
They kind of pushed that to the side with the funny inclusion of Airwave, but also he ended up being a necessary part. I thought that was funny because
Yeah.
Jeff Johns wasn't using him. But yeah, they sort of swept that part aside, and then they added on at the end there that some powers didn't go back to the right people. Some powers went to different heroes.
I like that actually.
So I think that's a more interesting repercussion. Personally, obviously,
Yeah.
I don't think everyone will automatically trust the heroes now, but I think that it's a more interesting um, effect, aftershock to have the powers be all kind of screwed up still.
No, 100%. I from what I could tell, it seemed like uh it seemed like Canary got Supergirl's powers or something along those lines, and
Yeah,
Plastic Man
Kryptonian.
got Martian Manhunter. But no, I actually really like that. It's like separate powers for different people, and it kind of went all over the place. I actually also weirdly liked the resolution for how they got back their powers. Um, I read the jump in issue for this event, and they had set up Our Man as like a thing of like, oh, he's helping fix failsafe, and that was like a major
Um,
thing.
yeah, not Our Man, but it's a different
Oh
character.
yeah,
It's
I'm not
like
Iron Man.
John something weird. He was a really obscure character that, of course, you can count on Wade to pull out of the vault and use properly. Basically, I think this is a Batman villain because the way that he was talking about him.
Oh, Time Commander. Time
Time
Commander.
Commander. There you
Yeah.
go. So yeah,
Um,
Batman. I was familiar with him. He was like, yeah, I recognized his energy, signatures from his tech, and so that was a really cool pull. And yeah, really made the Amazos more interesting.
yeah, I also like the idea that like some of the mazes were like becoming more human like. They hinted at that in the other issues. And I wish we almost like got a little bit more Jadestone, or even maybe some of the other Amazos like glitching out and like going
Yeah,
against Waller's thing.
I didn't
Um,
read the Task Force issues, but I did read the Green Lantern book, and in the very first Absolute Power tie-in, they did show Alan Scott getting captured by Jadestone.
yeah, that's what
So
happened
that
in Task
was
Force 7.
yeah, so that was a cool set up to that, and they did carry through with the Alan Scott stuff in the Green Lantern book, which I definitely applaud Jeremy Adams for following through on, because yeah, he took on was it the Starheart, right?
Yeah,
And he revealed like his willpower, his humanity, basically through that. So that was a really cool and like logical, way for the robot to gain consciousness. But I don't think every Amazo had that kind of interaction with a metahuman.
that's true. I also really like the idea that that Green Arrow had like a built-in like Martian Manhunter like psychic trigger. This is something that was like set up forever ago. I actually had to learn about this because this is like not even in recent. It was like all the way back in 2016. Um, that apparently Martian Manhunter left him a box for him to unbury in case the Justice League ever goes evil, or he needs to counter it. And I guess the psychic trigger was in it, from what I understood, to make Ollie like actually genuinely believe that he needs to take down the Justice League, and fully commit to it. Um, don't necessarily know how he stored a psychic trigger in a box, but still interesting that like that was like a callback for some people that like some very few people would get. Still cool nonetheless. But of course we knew that Ollie wasn't. I'm glad that there's an actual explanation for why Ollie was like genuinely seemed like such a like asshole. It was like, oh no, he like psychically actually believed that he was in the right. Um,
Yeah, he was became a really important part of this story. I dropped the Green Arrow book a while ago, but
it like
I thought
is gonna end
they
next issue, I think.
okay. Yeah, I mean that's about right. But I'm glad that he had such a pivotal role in this event. After a lot of people would kind of dismiss Green Arrow these days.
Yeah. Barry lost his abilities also, which I think was interesting. And then the other two consequences was losing the multiverse, access to the multiverse,
Yeah,
and Red Tornado being dead.
yeah,
Which is,
possibly irreparable. I mean,
I was like, bro, not
no
my
love,
boy.
no love for Red Tornado.
Nah, bro. Man was just thrown in the bin. Felt so
But
bad.
Wally didn't Wally say that Barry wasn't the only one who lost his powers,
Yeah,
or was that
he
just in
didn't.
reference to the powers getting swapped around?
Yeah, I think that's just a reference to like powers being swapped around.
Okay,
To be honest,
or going to the wrong
because
people.
you can see Wally like vibrate his hand, so obviously he still has his ability.
Right.
Um, so it's just genuinely a question like who else lost their powers versus like I wonder if it's gonna go right into their runs, like if Canary's gonna have like heat vision and and birds of prey and stuff like that. That would be interesting.
Yeah. Now it's all
Um,
going to be about follow through.
yeah, it really is just like can they commit to it? Um, but yeah, no, I actually really like this event. I like that we're doing a Justice League Unlimited. That is really fun. Who's going to be writing that book? Actually, I don't know. Let me see.
Isn't it Wade or
It might be. I'm blanking right now though.
he's a real busy guy?
He very much is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is him indeed.
Yeah. Different.
And Dan Morrow's going to be drawing. So
Oh,
we're
he is.
we're
Okay.
cooking, bro. We're
Yeah,
cooking.
that's great.
We're
Yeah,
we're we're set, bro.
I'm glad they found each other.
You make it sound like they're a married couple.
Yeah, I mean, all good creative teams probably talk to each other more than their spouses.
But yeah, no, I really love that. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen. There's a lot of follow through that they can do. But yeah, overall, would you what would you rate this event, Elias,
What would I rate the event?
out of 5?
I'm feeling 3.5 out of 5 personally.
Okay, I'm feeling a probably a strong 4 out of 5. I'm thinking like 4 out of 5, like Amazo skulls or something
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah, the only downsides to me were that you missed out on a lot if you only read the main 4 issues, and that I think you're right. It should have been longer than 4. I don't know why they were committed to 4. I guess they were just really excited to get these absolute issues out.
Yeah, it's probably that.
But you did miss some. There were some panels slash some like timing of things that were a little confusing during action sequences
Yeah, like Beast
because
Girl got an ability to shape change, which might be one of those abilities that got swapped around. But still,
oh
I was
right
like, oh yeah, I was like, oh that That's interesting.
Yeah, there was just stuff that just was a little too fast. So I would definitely have appreciated 5 issues. Um, and then the third thing is just this doesn't set up the absolute universe at all. Like this didn't really do that at all. It
Yeah,
just
no,
shut
it
off the
didn't.
multiverse connection.
If
Didn't
anything, it
bring
made it so that
us.
they can't interact with the
Yeah.
absolute universe.
So it's obviously has to do something with Flash losing his powers. Like when he fried the machine, like he lost his powers. I'm thinking maybe some of his energy got into the multiverse or something like that. But we don't really have an answer and don't
Yeah,
really have real setup there. So I guess the all in special is going to have to take care of all of that. And hopefully it will set up the absolute universe like naturally instead of it just being like uh detached like Elseworlds kind of thing.
yeah. I was also going to point out there is one last thing I forgot to mention there for the Superman tie-in. Um, they they finally brought back the recombined Sinestro, Yellow Lantern, and like opposite Batman
Yeah,
and
we didn't
Superman.
see. Wait, what did what the fuck did the evil Doctor Fate? I'm forgetting his name.
Oh,
Doctor
Doctor
Hate.
Hate. That
Did
was
he
that was
show up at
Raven.
all?
No, that was Raven. Raven's right now in Titans.
Yeah, but
It's
I
like
just mean I was surprised
not
he
even
didn't show up in
interacting
this
with
event.
the absolute power event.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, apparently that guy's going by the name Confusion with a K. Um, but yeah, basically he's an Earth 3 version of Batman and Superman that fused with like Hal Jordan's Yellow Lantern ring, or like a Joker and Bizarro. I don't know exactly, but yeah, he was weirdly in the multiversal bleed for some reason. Um, Superman went over with Zatanna to the multiversal bleed, where like the Justice League of the multiverse was, and like they were the only there was only one member left, and it was Doctor Light. Because apparently Amanda took out all of them with her teams. So I guess it goes to show like how massive her multiversal arm, like how she got that quote unquote, without being stopped by them. But yeah, so overall, fun event. Uh, one of the better DC events. Still think my highest event I would give modern event wise is still Axe, but I mean that's gonna be tough to beat. Let's be real here.
The last thing I wanted to say was that I really liked Dreamer's re-entry and the kind of traps she placed in her mind and
Oh yeah,
erased
that
her
was
memory of
cool.
stuff. That was a really cool like final uh, chapter for Dreamer and Amanda. I really like that.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. That was cool how she was trying to remember, and she genuinely couldn't.
Yeah. So, should you read Absolute Power? I think you should. I think it's, if you want to get into the DC universe, you could jump in here, start with something, dramatic, cataclysmic, and then get your way into the all in stuff. And hopefully, all these next arcs will be beginner friendly, entry level friendly. So, yeah, if you're looking for an into the DC universe, I would say this is a really fun event. Enjoy some Dan Mora art as well. So, yeah, I would recommend this.
Sick. No, 100% agree. Anyway, guys, remember to like, subscribe, support your local comic shop, and read comics. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.